Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dietary Factor, a show that brings you information about health, lifestyle, and also you'll get to pick a little habits that will help you improve on your lifestyle. My name is Wyglad. If you like how I look, my looks are inspired by Soka Ruth Michelle, the social inclusion queen of Uganda 2024-2025. You can check out her page. She is the inspiration of how I look. Today, we are going to talk about something that some of you find really complicated, but it is really simple. So we are going to talk about GI or Glycemic Index. Some of you keep wondering, what is really GI? Why do people talk about GI? So we are going to talk about Glycemic Index. You're going to know what it is in simple terms. You're going to know basic information about it. You're going to get to know the low GI foods and the high GI foods, how you can tell the differences, and who this information is basically important to. If you're in these three categories, you may really need this information. One, if you are diabetic, or if you have a diabetic parent, a diabetic friend, you have someone diabetic that you take care of, this information will be very, very helpful for you. So stick here till the end to get to know the examples of glycemic foods in their ranges. Then if you are trying to lose weight or you're trying to manage your weight, it is very important to know the low GI foods and the high GI foods, so as you can make informed choices when you are choosing the kinds of foods you want to eat. A third person, that is someone who wants to keep having energy throughout the day. If you have work or things you do that require you to have constant energy throughout the day, it is important for you to get to know which foods to eat that have the GI that can help you have energy throughout the day. Not only those who work in areas that need energy throughout the day, in our basic day-to-day life, we need to have energy throughout. So if you need to have energy throughout, it is very important to know the GI foods to eat. Back to what is GI or what is glycemic index. So this is literally just a number that is able to identify carbohydrates and how they spike sugar or glucose in our bodies. So if a food is a high GI or has a high glycemic index, that means that it releases sugar very fast into our body system. But some food is a low glycemic index food. It releases sugar slowly into our body. It is steady. So when it's a high GI food, the blood sugar spike is high. Like if it's a curve, it just goes up and it comes down. But if it's a low GI food, if it's a curve, it is just steady. In other words, it does not spike. It releases sugar slowly. Even the loss of the sugar is slow. So at the end of the day, if you are diabetic, it is very important to eat more of the low GI foods than the high GI foods, because high GI foods spike sugar in our bodies. That they not only spike, but also sugar is lost very fast. High GI foods. Let me give you examples of high GI foods. You can look at things like bread, more so white bread. When you look at things like potatoes, not sweet potatoes, but potatoes. In Uganda, they call them obumondo obuzungu. So when you look at those obumondo obuzungu, they increase on your sugar level very fast. So that is most especially when you look at mashed potatoes, or when you eat them in chips and all, they will spike your sugar level very fast. So when you are looking at also processed foods, another example is white rice. They will increase on your sugar level very fast. Now, if you're looking at it in terms of energy, meaning you have energy, you have a spike of energy, then you have a degrade of energy very fast. So you in the morning, you eat your bread for breakfast, your white bread for breakfast, you start your day with energy, and before you know it, the energy has been lost very fast. And you wonder, I ate my bread in the morning and I'm already feeling tired, I'm already feeling fatigued very fast in a very quick space of time. So that's what happens when you eat a lot of high GI foods. Your energy levels will not last for a long period of time. It will just be like a spike, like a switch. You just switch on and you switch off immediately. It spikes up, spikes off. If you want to have constant energy levels, it's important to choose wisely. You do not go for high GI foods. Another thing, if you are diabetic, remember diabetic individuals are trying to regulate on their blood sugar. So if you are eating a lot of high GI foods, you're having a lot of sugar spikes. At the end of the day, you are affecting yourself as a diabetic. And also, if you're not diabetic, you're giving yourself to be at risk of getting type 2 diabetes if you're eating a lot of GI foods. However, we have a lot of GI foods everywhere. At some point you can't avoid them. Like, let me say white rice. How can you avoid white rice? Because at the end of the day, you eat white rice literally daily because there are no other foods available. So what can you do? When you have high GI foods, it is very important to pair them up with proteins or good healthy fats. So for example, let me say you're eating rice, you can pair it with proteins. Examples of proteins, you can have things like eggs, you can have things like meat. You can also look at natural proteins as well from other natural sources. When you pair them with proteins, you are reducing on the spike of sugar. At the end of the day, you'll not have a sugar spike. So that's a very good way of eating high GI foods. So low glycemic index foods, how can you identify them? One, they are whole or are not processed. And if they are processed, they have minimal processation. They have been processed minimally, not too much. So that's how you can easily identify a low GI food. So now what happens with low GI foods is that, remember we said they increase sugar levels steadily in your blood system. So when you look at it in terms of energy as well, you'll have a steady energy levels throughout your day. Why? Because the sugar levels are not quickly spiking off. Not like we see Mary very energetic 2 minutes and 2 minutes she's done. No. When you have these low GI foods that you eat, you have a steady distribution of energy throughout your day. You may be asking yourself the examples of low GI foods. I've already told you how you can identify them. Whole foods that are not so much processed. When you look at terms of potatoes, sweet potatoes are a very good source of low GI, or are a very good example of a low GI food. When you look at fruits and vegetables, though not all fruits and vegetables have the same GI index. So sweet potatoes compared to Irish potatoes, they have a lower GI. So if you are diabetic or you have someone who is diabetic, it is wise to give them sweet potatoes compared to Irish potatoes. When you look at bread, it is wiser to give a diabetic brown bread compared to white bread, because brown bread is made with wholemeal instead of processed meal. White bread is made from processed flour. You know, it's entirely processed, the bran removed and all the outer layers of the grain removed. So at the end of the day, it's really refined. But when you look at the wholemeal bread or the brown bread, it has all these components attached to it. Another way to identify a low GI food is foods that are high in fiber. Now, when you look at fruits and vegetables, I talked about things like apples. Apples are a low GI food. They are low in fiber. Even when you look at the way fibers are enhanced digestion, you still find that they have a steady way. They keep you full for a longer time. So fiber is a good way to identify a low GI food. So this information is very important for you if you are diabetic. Get to know the low GI foods and the high GI foods. As we have already spoken, high GI foods will spike sugar levels, and then low GI foods will keep your sugar levels steady throughout the day. So it is important for you to know that in case you have a diabetic. Do not just give them anything. Remember, you are trying to help them. If you're spiking their sugar levels just like that, you are not helping your diabetic parent, you're not helping your diabetic friend, you are not helping them in any way. So it's very good to have this information as an individual and as a family. I hope you have learned something today. Ensure you get to listen more so that you can get more details about GI food in the next episodes, and you will learn how to regulate your GI. Thank you so much for listening. Please keep safe, please keep healthy, and keep listening. Like, subscribe, and keep following the Dietary Factor. Wyglad Mary here, and have a good day. See you next time.